Share with you about Bob Goff. He's probably one of my favorite authors that I enjoy reading his books. One of his old books is called Love Does. You may have heard of it. His new book is Undistracted. What I want to share with you comes from his book Undistracted. It seems that Bob Goff grew up with some friends that became quite famous. One of his friends is an artist and does concerts all over the nation and the world. And he invited Bob to come to his concert. Well, he made it to the green room to see his friend. And as he got there, the room was crowded, but his friend saw him immediately. They hugged and began to catch up. As they sat at the table, Bob said he noticed off to the side was a man who was just sitting really relaxed, hands in his lap, smiling, not trying to enter his conversation. But what struck Bob about him was he had piercing blue eyes, and he was enjoying the conversation, just never entered into it. Well, it became time for the concert to start, and his friend said, I've got seats for you guys that are just kind of off stage, but not in the crowd. Said, but you kind of got to go through some of the crowd to get to your seats. But I got them for you. And so Bob Goff and this man with the piercing blue eyes began to make their way to the seats. As they moved through the crowd, no one noticed Bob Goff, but they noticed the man with the piercing blue eyes. When Bob and this man finally made it to their seats, the person sitting next to Bob Goff said, do you know who that is sitting next to you? He said, I have no idea. He said, that's Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Bob said, I had been in the room with Jesus for an hour and never noticed him. That ever happened to you? That ever happened? We drift through life. We live a life that's distracted, unfocused, and we're just not aware of the presence of Jesus in our lives. But, Jesus is used to not being noticed anyway. When he was a kid, he was in the temple and surrounded by religious leaders, and they asked, who is this kid that speaks with such authority? When he was at a wedding, he was asked to fix a problem he didn't create. And so he performed his first miracle, but wasn't noticed till then. He wasn't noticed on the cross between two thieves. He wasn't noticed at the tomb, the empty tomb. As the women came to prepare his body, they thought he was a gardener, didn't notice him. I wonder how many times we go through life not noticing Jesus is right there with us. Are you taking time to notice that Jesus is with you? He's in the room. He's relaxed. He's not forcing the conversation. He's just waiting for you to notice. Do you notice? And God bless you, and thank you for joining me today. Pray you have a great weekend. If you need a place to come worship, come on down to Meadowbrook. We'd love to have you. Worship at 9:45 and 11 o'clock. I'd love to